As far as first world problems go, having to choose between an iPhone 6 Plus and the new OnePlus 3 is pretty high up there, so I'm hoping you guys can help me decide which one to keep, the OnePlus 3 versus the iPhone 6 Plus. No, not the 6S Plus. So let's get started on some of the similarities between these two devices. Starting with the boxes, they're both pretty similar white bricks, with phone names on the side and an imprint on the top. The contents are very similar too, except for the iPhone comes with headphones. Moving on to the devices themselves, both are pretty similar in that they're basic rectangles made of aluminum with chamfered edges, antenna bands, and ugly-ass camera bumps. However, the OnePlus has a better camera, but that's also because it just came out. Feel in the hand is great on both devices since they're both pretty large and both exude the feel of a premium handset. Moving to the bottom of the devices, you can see that they're basically flip mirror images. Both have speaker grills, a microphone, a headphone jack, and reversible charging ports, and in fact both speakers sound about the same. The iPhone of course uses Apple's proprietary and overpriced lightning cables and plugs, while the OnePlus uses the soon-to-be universal USB Type-C charger with dash charging, which charges your phone up to 60% in just 30 minutes. Both phones have a notification toggle switch, the OnePlus going from silent to priority to allow all, while the iPhone goes normal and vibrate. The similarities continue on the front of the devices. Both have 1080p screens with decent color reproduction, and right beneath that is the Fingerprint Scanner. The iPhones can actually be pressed to go to the home screen, while the OnePlus gives you the choice of on-screen or physical buttons for going back, home, and multitasking. Oh, and the OnePlus, being newer, has thinner bezels and a slightly better front-facing camera. So far so good, right? Now let's look at some subtle differences, besides the obvious iOS versus Android thing. Overall, the iPhone is a little taller, wider, and thicker than the OnePlus 3, which means that once you've selected one of the customizable keyboards, I'm using SwiftKey here, it's actually a little easier to type on the iPhone using both hands because you have more screen real estate. It also looks nicer than on the OnePlus 3. Both phones have fingerprint scanners, however the OnePlus 3's is much faster and you only have to rest your finger on the button instead of pressing it down and waiting for an animation. Naturally, the 6S Plus is much faster. Both devices have quick setting drawers, but the OnePlus 3's can be customized, whereas the iPhone's is getting more and more cluttered with every new OS release. Love it or hate it, you need to make friends with iTunes if you want to use an iPhone, and that's one of my problems. I am so heavily invested into iTunes with my music library and syncing of all my documents that it's one of the main reasons I don't like changing over to the Android devices. Multitasking might look nicer on the iPhone, but you can't kill all apps like you can on the Android. Instead, you have to close them all one by one. And another thing, with one small example is using the same app on both devices, I found that time and time again the iOS versions simply look and perform better, like almost always. The OnePlus automatically leads with off-screen gestures. Here I can draw the letter V and turn on the flashlight, and you can't do that on an iPhone, at least not until they innovate it in a few years. Drawing the letter O turns on the camera so you can take a quick picture. The same thing can also be achieved by double tapping the screen on/off button twice. By the way, all these gestures can be turned on or off in the settings. Another thing the OnePlus has that the iPhone doesn't is an LED notification light, which saves me the trouble of having to turn on my screen every few minutes to see if I missed anything on my phone. So as I said earlier, I'm obviously overlooking the fact that iOS and Android are pretty different. I mean, you can achieve the same thing on both, but it just takes a little bit of a different approach. And I'm obviously overlooking the price difference here. And that's it, guys. I just want your feedback or your input. Leave it in the comment section below which one you think I should keep and why. Should I upgrade to the iPhone 7 when it comes out? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.